Good morning everyone, today we're going to be talking about the new anti-cheat that SEGA is implementing starting from next month. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to go over is, of course, the official announcement on SEGA's website over here saying the implementation of Wellbia's anti-malware tools program into the PC version. And as we can see here, a new anti-malware tool program manufactured by Wellbia will gradually be implemented to the PC version after the scheduled maintenance on November 1st. Date and time of implementation for the Windows and Epic Game Store version is going to be November 1st. However, for the Steam version, it's going to be a week later on November 6th. Wellbia anti-malware program will be applied following implementation, but it will still be possible to switch to the previously implemented and protect GameGuard via the game launcher. If you encounter an error while starting the game or during gameplay and you believe it is caused by the anti-malware program, please try starting the game in compatibility mode from the game launcher. How to switch anti-malware programs. Run the game launcher and check compatibility mode under Preferences, Features, and then Game Launch. NGS version 2 will do its utmost to address malicious activity through this and other measures so that all ARCs can enjoy the game. Thank you for playing PSO2 NGS version 2. So I'm gonna assume that the majority of players out there are just like me and you're just kind of like, what on earth is Wellbia? I've never heard of this anti-cheat program before, but with a quick Google search, you find out that Wellbia is the company that made Zyncode 3. For those who don't know what Zyncode 3 is, it's a Korean anti-cheat program which is pretty intrusive, which runs at the kernel level. However, for me personally, I don't care because, you know, all of the anti-cheats that I run all run at the kernel level. You know, to play Valorant, you have the Valorant anti-cheat thing that goes to core 0 or whatever. And so there's plenty of anti-cheats out there that go to the kernel level, and it's like, you know, to me, it's not a big deal. Freaking everyone knows what's on my computer and I don't care. However, what I do care about is performance in game. So I have a little bit of beef with Zyncode 3. The reason for this is because I used to cover a game called Blade and Soul. I covered that game for like 3 years, and that game was really fun. However, it was plagued with several issues. One of the big issues was the implementation of Zyncode 3, or the anti-cheat software, was taking so many resources from your PC and from the game that you couldn't get very high FPS. You basically had to hide all assets, lower all your graphics to really low just to get 60 FPS. And at the time when I was still covering the game, it was extremely frustrating because I'd be able to run Black Desert Online, PSO2, everything maxed out at 60 FPS, which to me is the gold standard. That is the bare minimum that I require a game to run at. It has to run at 60 FPS. And, you know, at the time, I was not able to run Blade and Soul at 60 FPS. I'm actually going to pull B-roll from my old videos so that you can see what on earth is going on. And, you know, Blade and Soul doesn't have some crazy, insane graphics. It looked nice at the time. However, it's not, like, insane, you know? And so I was just really surprised that, hey, Black Desert Online runs at 60 FPS with everything on high, and I can't get the same result in Blade and Soul, and I lowered it to like ugly graphics, and I'm still stuttering and I'm still losing frames. And that was the main issue that I had with Zyncode 3. Honestly, I don't care about Zyncode 3 going kernel level, invading my privacy, blah blah blah. That really doesn't matter to me. It's all about the performance for me. If it lowers my FPS, if it makes my game stutter, if there's freezes, if there's micro freezes, and if it heavily affects the game's performance in a negative way, then I will have a problem with Zyncode 3. Now, there are some good examples of Zyncode 3. For example, Black Desert Online also uses Zyncode 3. However, you know, since there was so much backlash with it, they did tweak it and improve it to a way where you can run Black Desert Online without that much of a performance hit. I believe when they released like the remastered mode, that was kind of when the game started to smooth out a little bit. I don't know what they did, to be honest, but it is possible to run the game with Zyncode 3 and have the game run smoothly. That has been proven, so I'm just hoping that NGS does the same because they have been working on this since February, I believe, of this year. So hopefully they have looked into it so that they can run the anti-cheat without hitting the performance too hard. It's definitely going to hit the performance to some degree because, you know, this anti-cheat is a little bit more intrusive than End Protect. End Protect is pretty light, and that's probably why people were able to abuse so many different loopholes and bugs and hacks and stuff like that. So yeah, Code 3 is a lot more heavy duty. I just don't know how badly it's going to affect players' computers out there because it is going to use more resources than the current anti-cheat, which is End Protect. So that is the main issue that I have, or the main concern that I have, is going to be in-game performance. However, I do have faith that SEGA knows what they're doing because in the original implementation, which is next month, we do get like a safeguard where if we can't run the game using Code 3 or if there is performance issues, there is still going to be the backup plan where we can use End Protect, we can use the compatibility mode. So I have a feeling that SEGA probably already knows that Code 3 is probably going to cause some problems. So, you know, at the very beginning, I'm just going to give them a chance. I'm not going to go crazy and tell them that Code 3 is the devil and it totally sucks, blah, 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 until it actually comes out. Once the new anti-cheat is implemented, and if it does affect gameplay, I'm simply just going to record it and report it to SEGA as is. Be like, listen guys, look, I'm going to run the game with End Protect, look at my FPS, it's 60 FPS no matter what I'm doing, and here's footage with Code 3, and look, I'm barely getting 30 FPS while doing anything. And with a side-by-side comparison, it's going to be a lot easier to justify my case of saying that, listen, Code 3 is not the way, we should probably switch this, or you guys need to work on it to make it similar to like how Black Desert Online does it, where they still run Code 3, but at least there aren't performance issues to such a heavy degree. So personally, I'm just going to be waiting for the anti-cheat to come out. I'm going to run the game and hopefully it runs perfectly fine. If it runs perfectly fine, there's nothing to complain about. But if there is performance issues, I'm going to speak out because that is the key thing about this game. Like right now, you know, combat zones, farming, taking screenshots, using reshade, G-shade, whatever, making your game look pretty, like all of this stuff is kind of the core of the game. If this anti-cheat directly affects the core gameplay or the core values of this game, then yeah, that is going to be a problem. However, for the majority of players, I think you're going to be fine, especially if you're playing on console. This only affects PC players, so if you're playing on a PlayStation, if you're playing on an Xbox, you're going to be fine. It doesn't affect you at all. But nevertheless, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to see how the implementation is done, since it is coming relatively soon next month, and you know, today's already the 27th. So literally in less than a week, we will have the new implementation, and I'm just going to run it through Epic Games Store on my other account and see how that runs versus my Steam version, and just compare the two and see if there is a performance hit or not.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it interesting. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!